Okay, so everybody who's here already, I want to thank you guys for coming. Welcome to the beginning of our series. So today we have Align Modern Health. As a leading wellness center in the Chicagoland area, Align Modern Health is committed to serving their clients wherever they are. Services include massage therapy, acupuncture, chiropractic, physical medicine, telemedicine, functional medicine, and clinical nutrition. I hope I didn't leave anything out. So today we have somebody from each category. I'm going to start by introducing Joy, which is the director of recruiting, and she's going to introduce the rest of her team.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Karina, and thanks to everyone for showing up today. We're really excited to be here. As Karina said, I am the director of recruiting here at Aligned, and typically your first initial point of contact into the organization. Excuse me. But we are really excited to talk with you today. I've brought several wonderful people for you to meet, including Bill Feely. He is one of our co-founders, and we'll in a moment take you through kind of a little bit of who we are and what we do. And we also have Dr. Lamia Camel, who you may or may not recognize from PCHS. She is on faculty there and does a lot of great work with Pacific College. And then we also have Brittany Cedar, who is our massage therapy practice lead, and is also a wonderful person and great team lead for her group. So everyone will kind of talk about their different areas, but we thought that, excuse me, maybe Bill would start out with just an overview of who we are and what we do. And I have the slide or two to pull up if you want to do that.
Sure, that would be great. Well, nice to meet you all. I'll be short and brief because I'm sure the questions are for people that actually treat patients, which is not me. So we'll leave some time for that. But I'm Bill Feely. I'm one of the co-founders, as we said. We started this business actually now about 10 years ago. And as you guys might know, neither my partners nor I are actually doctors, but we were all big users of the services. For me, my first foray into any of these medicines was about 25 years ago. I sought chiropractic care. About 15 years ago, in the throes of our fertility journey, sought acupuncture and have two amazing kids, and as a great result from that. And became a big believer in all these medicines. And my partners and I said, gosh, there's this amazing medicine out there that we call integrative care, complementary medicine. There's a whole bunch of names for it. But as you guys might or might not know, just a huge disparity out there of how it's practiced, communicated, presented to consumers, aggregated, partnered with different doctors, traditional medicine, other integrative providers. And we were really longing for an experience that, brought a lot under one roof for all the experiences that we shared. And that's really how we started Align Modern Health. And what's been amazing is we partnered and have been so lucky to partner with amazing providers like Dr. Camel, who many of you guys know. I think she's famous. I think there's a Dr. Camel wing over there in Chicago. But we were able to partner with amazing providers. And really the essence of what we do is, we're really focused on driving consumer-centric, outcome-driven healthcare in this space, really changing the way that people look at this medicine as something to be a part of their regular medicine that they seek in lives. What we do as a company is we really provide a lot of the infrastructure, the arms, the legs, the marketing, the billing, the ability to help you manage operations, clinic management, all that kind of stuff, and really turn it over to Dr. Camel and her colleague, Dr. Zriniger, to lead the medical part of it with Brittany and team. And so really what we think we have is a great opportunity for a lot of folks coming out of school and people who have had tenured practices to really focus on practicing the medicine. And that's what we want you to do here, right? And so again, our jobs are to unlock our providers. They see our patients every day, and to really help them be the best doctors and providers that they can be. And we take care of a lot of the other stuff that you might or might not learn about at Pacific College that it takes to go run a practice. And so that's kind of the notion, and we're happy to talk a little bit about that. Today, we have 4 core modalities that we practice in every single one of our clinics. And I think that's really interesting. And, this kind of evolved over time, but also evolved very purposefully. And some of the, modalities that you guys practice today fit really nicely into that. And so, in every clinic, we have chiropractic physical medicine, which is very focused on biomechanics. We have providers that work with rehabilitative specialists, and Brittany's team are massage therapists to work on musculoskeletal complaints, people who have chronic conditions or someone who slipped and fell on ice, everything in between. And so it's really focused on getting the body to rehabilitate itself and work hard. That group works very closely. I'm not sure if we have any massage therapists on this call, but works very closely with massage therapy to both lead the treatment of those patients. But massage therapy is also an amazing standalone practice. We have amazing clinical massage therapists who really work on people's bodies to get them to achieve their maximum performance. Getting a massage at Align Modern Health is not like going to the Four Seasons. Brittany is going to work on your piriformis and get it working great. That's where we focus on stuff like that. And they're really for people who want clinical based experience and to focus on real medical issues and help people in real world situations. That team does an amazing job. Dr. Camel leads all of our acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine team. I'll let her talk about the practice and what we cover, but it's a wide variety. All of the acupuncturists that are on our team either have a master's or doctorate, like you guys will achieve here. We have many providers, for example, in our chiropractic practice that have acupuncture degrees, 100 hours. Those are not things we do. We view this as the traditional Chinese medicine and the way that it was meant to be practiced. And so the aperture of things that Dr. Camel sees on her team are things from musculoskeletal, working in conjunction with our, physical medicine team, to infertility, to, anxiety and stress and other mental health related disorders. So a very wide variety of both internal medicine and musculoskeletal health. And then finally, our functional medicine and clinical nutrition team really focuses more on kind of the internal medicine, really working on understanding and helping people with things like autoimmune conditions, digestive disorders, many of the overlaps that you have, working to address those with lifestyle, behavioral, supplementing change, dietary change, to really create plans for people to feel their best. And so what's really great is, if you think about it, we've really got this wide variety of things we cover for when people come into our clinics, right? From the musculoskeletal to the internal, and acupuncture is this super neat medicine that kind of fits in between and works in both worlds. And we really try to help people achieve their life to the fullest. And that's kind of our tagline, but that's the goal, right? And so many times people come into our clinics to seek one of these modalities, but in most cases, we end up treating concurrently with other providers. So I think, again, as you look for your careers and you're looking for a place, this interdisciplinary approach is really great, because Dr. Camel and her team are working with all these other teams. Brittany and her team are working with all these other teams to really address the problem, not just address it with the skills that you have, to really kind of use all of the skills in our collective self to get people better. And so that's where we hope to continue. We have 18 clinics today here in the Chicagoland area. And we hope to get bigger and expand more broadly on even a more national footprint here over the next couple of years. People always ask, where are you going to go next? And what are you going to do? Our notion is we have to practice amazing medicine. So, yes, we are a business. We are a for-profit business, but we will only grow and expand as quickly as we can find other amazing providers that can practice the medicine the way that we know how and get people better and deliver an amazing consumer experience. So that's really what we're all about. We're not a chain. Dr. Camel can talk about it. We're not a cookie cutter. People don't all get the same treatment plan. We don't just sell memberships for membership's sake. Like, we're here to actually treat consumers' problems. And I think that's what sets us apart, is this really great amazing team of providers and clinicians, and a very interdisciplinary approach to actually solve patients' problems with the tools that you guys are learning and have. So I'll pause there. That's a super highlight. I'm going to turn it over to Joy to introduce the rest of the team. And I apologize in advance. I might have to leave a few minutes early here. I have a major dance recital, which I can't miss. And I'm not dancing. It's not my own. So
understandable. Understandable.
10-year-old dance recital. It's going to be an exciting night.
That'll be fun. Well, thank you for the overview. And yeah, so I don't know if Dr. Campbell and Brittany, if each of you want to take, a few minutes each to talk about acupuncture here, talk about massage here, kind of the day to day, and a little bit of an overview of how your practice works within Align Modern Health.
Sure, I'll pop in if you're okay with that, Brittany. Awesome. Thanks everyone for being here. I know it's the end of a long day and after a town hall, which is a lot of information. So thanks for making your way over here to hang out with us. So my name is Dr. Lamia Camel. I am a graduate of Pacific in Chicago. I did my master's there. And then I went on to do my 2-year postgraduate doctorate out in San Diego at our Pacific campus out there. I am currently faculty, so I teach an online doctorate as well as I teach, on site in Chicago, but it's still remote. So I don't get to make it to campus too often, unfortunately. I teach the evidence-informed practice course and interprofessional communication course. And then I'm also the chair of the Department of Professionalism at our Chicago campus. So I have been entrenched in the world of Pacific since I graduated. I think I took a semester off and then they pulled me back in. I've had all sorts of roles. I used to work with Cynthia, had the pleasure of working with Cynthia, and learned everything I know about alumni stuff. And it was when I was in that role that the folks at Align actually approached me and they said, "Hey, we want to hire acupuncturists." And I was like, "Yes, finally, we need more people hiring acupuncturists. What can I do? How can I help?" And then somehow they stole me away, but not completely because I'm still fully involved at Pacific. So I think, Bill, thanks for highlighting a couple of really important things that you mentioned there. One, we absolutely hire folks who are straight out of school, and we have a really great intensive program. I'm a firm believer that it takes time to feel confident in your practice, and we want to make that time faster. So, we equip you with the skills that you're not taught in school. You're taught a ton in school, right? You're walking out of here a strong clinician. We're going to help you be a strong practitioner of the medicine. So we certainly hire folks straight out of school. We also hire folks. My most recent hire, she starts on Tuesday. So excited. She graduated from her master's program 2 years before I did. 4 years. She graduated the semester before I started. So, we hire folks really at all different stages of their practice. And one of the big benefits, I think, is not having to worry about the things that don't directly relate to being a practitioner of Chinese medicine, right? So you really get to focus on being an awesome clinician, and all the other things that, in my mind, take your chi away from what your passion is, are handled by people who are passionate about it, So we have clinic managers who love dealing with patient drama. Like, thank God for them. Every day I end my day in the clinic giving them so much praise, right? Because they make my life so much easier. And if for some reason they still walk away from those clinic managers angry, luckily we have needles for that, right? So, really appreciate that. We have folks who handle the insurance, who handle our credentialing, all the things that, to me, I think really, again, dissipate our chi unnecessarily. I want to spend my free time learning more about Chinese medicine, and I suppose hanging out with my family, but really mostly learning more about Chinese medicine, right? So this affords the opportunity to do that. The other point that you made, Bill, I wanted to highlight is that I'm not interested in controlling how people practice, right? You're equipped with a really strong skill set when you walk out of school, and inevitably you gravitate to one particular kind of practice. And I'm not interested in saying you have to practice this kind of TCM with these we don't do protocols, anything like that. You're equipped with, a skill set that you resonate with, right? And that's important. If you resonate with it, you're able to grasp somebody else's chi quicker and more effectively. And then also, we don't do protocols. Like you are taught critical thinking for a reason. I'm just not interested in that at all. Actually, some research that we're presenting later this, it's not October yet, huh? So in October at Western Medical Conference is looking at individualized acupuncture for working with fertility patients, and it just hasn't been done before. That's how we like to operate. You have an amazing skill set. I want you to nurture that. And so, even if it's a way of practicing that I don't understand fully, as long as you have a reasoning for why you do it, which probably comes back to the 8 principles after all, I 100% support it. So I think that's a really a distinguishing piece. We're not cookie cutter. I'm not interested in that. That is not the highlight of this medicine. That's not why it's survived thousands of years. And it will continue to survive. So I really support that. And then, of course, being able to work with amazing people who are passionate in what they do. When I was doing my master's, I got to take a lot of massage courses, and it was great because I got a free massage. But it made me realize that that wasn't for me. And I got lucky by partnering with amazing people like Brittany and her team, where they really take care of people from that aspect. And it's a perfect complement to what we do. So with that, I'll pass it to Brittany.
Hi, I'm Brittany, if you haven't already heard. The massage therapy practice lead over at Aligned Modern Health. And kind of similar to what Phil said, I'm going to give you a little overview of how massage therapy works here, because I think Aligned does it differently than every other place. We're kind of more unique massage therapists. We work as part of the physical medicine umbrella under the care and guidance of the chiropractor. So I always like to say our chiro is like our chief. They're our captain. They're going to do our initial exams for the patients. They're going to diagnose and set forward a treatment plan. And then the massage therapist and our rehab specialist are like the defense. We're going to defend that treatment plan. Our rehab might be working on strength and stability. And we come in with all of the soft tissue aspects. We kind of work as a team to get those patients to the end goal. But we also have our own practice. So we have patients who come in to see us for more therapeutic treatments. Very rarely, maybe twice in 4 years, has anybody walked in for a relaxation massage. Everybody comes here because they consider massage therapy part of their healthcare journey. And that's something that sets us apart from other places. And we also get to co-treat with wonderful people like our acupuncturists, who I also feel they can do no wrong in my eyes. Big fan of acupuncture. I like to call them medical magicians. Just my take. Ask Gary, he's up front. Called him that this morning. So we co-treat with them and do anxiety, migraines, fertility patients. I've also just had one of our acupuncturists come up to me before and been, hey, Brett, I am trying to work on this with a patient and they're breaking my needles. Their tissue is so hypertonic, I can't needle them properly, I can't treat them properly. Can you kind of get in there and just loosen things up so that they can get the care that they need and get their goals accomplished? We work with our registered nutritionists and dietitians and our functional medicine doctors, doing maybe abdominal massage for different GI discomforts, any underlying inflammation issues. So I think the fact that we have so many different types of providers that we're able to work with and co-treat with and learn from, because when you're in massage school, we don't get the how acupuncturists get to touch on massage. We don't do a lot of strength and stability. It's very, very basic. So Aligned is a place where we not only get to learn from our colleagues, but we also get to show our colleagues what massage does. And for a clinical massage therapist, that's different because we don't get those opportunities in a lot of other places. So that is one of the things I think that sets us apart at Aligned than we do other places. Kind of similar to what Lamia said, our team is pretty broad. I love new hires. We have a bunch of new hires who come in fresh out of school. And then I also have someone who is about to retire after 20, I think she's about to hit 20 years of massage therapy, which is a huge, very, very long career. And then people who are right down the middle. like myself. And so it's kind of not where you are, but what you bring to the table. I want massage therapists who are passionate about massage and what we can do and how we can do it. And I want them to be patient focused, because at the end of the day, our patients are why we're here, and why we do what we do. And so I think being passionate and patient focused is what I look for most in a candidate. And similar to how Lamia said, I have no cookie cutter protocols. There is nothing specific that I need you to do, or I want you to touch this muscle and this. I don't care how you get to your end goal, as long as you get to your end goal, and the modalities you choose to use to get there, as long as it is relevant to the patient's treatment, and that's fine. We have therapists who do from trigger point work, maybe neuromuscular. We have a lot of myofascial. We're getting some certified lymphodemus therapists on staff, which is awesome, because that opens us up to a broader patient base. And so how you choose to get to your end goal is your choice, as long as it's relevant. Similar to how Bill said and Lamia said, we have clinic managers and billing specialists. So your responsibilities is really just to focus on your patient and carry out their treatment plan. Obviously, you're responsible for maintaining your rooms, and charting and soaping and all of that, and documenting. But other than that, what we do is patient care, and you don't have to do any of the back end stuff. And then is there any other questions? I know there were some different topics you guys had planned to cover.
Yeah, that's actually what I was just going to say. I'm like, well, you actually answered a lot of our questions already. You told us like what you want from the students, that you're eager to hire students who just graduated. So I do have, the questions that I sent earlier. I don't know if any of the students have questions yet. If not, we can go along with our regular scheduled program. Anybody?
I have a couple questions, but if the students or prospective applicants have questions, that's most important first.
Well, you are an alumnus, Cynthia, so you can kind of pop in here at this point.
Yeah,
you can wear that hat.
Yeah, so looking at the questions that I get from some of our graduating students, they really want to know sort of what are the do's and don'ts. In other words, besides that you're looking for somebody who's passionate, whatever, what are the things that you think that prospective applicants do right when you want them and do wrong that give you some caution when they're looking for massage or acupuncture jobs?
I have a big one, and especially for new grads or people who are about to graduate and you might be going for a first-time massage job. My biggest thing I look at is you're still going to a job interview. Make sure you show up professional and presentable. If I had someone who's a great therapist, but they walk in leggings and flip-flops, that's not how you go to an interview. Make sure you're always presentable and professional when you walk in, no matter what the job is for.
Yeah, I like that. I think that, having an understanding of the company is pretty important. And a big part of that is recognizing that you are not going to be opening your own personal practice, but you're going to be working with the team. So having a desire to work with a team and getting having excitement actually about it, right? I know that every day when I walk into clinic, not every day, I'm only in once a week, but the one day a week that I'm in clinic, I know that I'm going to learn something from the other clinicians. I know that if I have a difficult case, I can reach out to them and they'll reach out to me as well. And it's a beautiful thing. Having been in private practice before, you feel kind of like you're in an island. And some people want that island. And a lot of people actually, I think, come into this medicine because they want that. And that's great. That's just not us. We're here to work with each other, to not just elevate each other. It's not just an additional, it's really an exponential growth that we're allowed to have because we have all these other great people around us. Like I said, yesterday I connected with a chiropractor twice, and I connected with the functional medicine doctor maybe 3 times in like a day where I literally had one break, you know. So it was my days are busy. And I think that's a huge piece. So really wanting to work in a group, right? And that means that there are some expectations that we have to have of each other, right? So that professionalism is a big piece, you know, respecting each other's space and all of that stuff, right? You have roommates now, so you know, only for the day, right? And then you can go home and you can do whatever you want at your house. So that's a big one. You know, hunger and desire to grow is a big one too. My job is to coach and to help people grow. And I want to help you go places you didn't think you could go, right? That to me is a satisfying day of work. So being eager to grow, being hungry to grow, and also just being humble to the fact that you're working with a really sophisticated system, which is a human body. So that humility is so important. So not pretending you know everything, and being open to feedback, just like I'm open to feedback. You know, everybody who comes to work for me shadows me, and I absolutely ask them their perspective of what's going on, right? Yeah, it's another set of eyes. I want to know what you all are thinking, right? So, you know, having that humility is really important, and being willing to say, you know what, I'm not sure that worked out. Let's try this. So those are kind of the three. Oh, and then being smart. But you know, people who graduate from Pacific are smart. So, but always wanting to continue to learn for sure.
That was good. That was good. Cynthia, you took that question right off my list, so I had that one too. So that was good. So now that we know the do's and don'ts of your candidates, could you tell us what your recruitment process is like, or how long is it? If they were to do everything right and they came professional, they said all the right things, they're ready to work.
Joy, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I can kind of jump on that. So whether it's acupuncture or massage, both processes start with a phone screen. So kind of a phone interview, either with myself for acupuncture, or I have a colleague who will screen massage therapist candidates. And then from there, for massage, they would then have, if they pass the phone screen, they would then see Brittany for an in-person, I'm sorry if you hear my dog, an in-person technical interview, a hands-on interview where they actually go into a clinic, talk with Brittany, but also perform an actual treatment so she can, get a feel for how they do. And then a final round would be a Zoom interview with one member of our leadership team. So that's really the process, I think, for massage. And then for acupuncture, again, you start with me. I do a phone interview with you, and then you will have a couple meetings with Dr. Camel by phone as well as in person, where you go through case studies and kind of technical pieces. And kind of the last step in her process is a practical interview where you actually go into a clinic, perform treatment, and talk about the why you did and what you did, and all that kind of stuff. And then the final round for that as well is Zooming with 2 members of our leadership team. So, but I would say in all cases, like for massage, if we get someone in the door pretty quickly, we could make that whole process happen in a week. 1 to 2 weeks. If it's acupuncture, if it's someone who's licensed and ready to go, and we can get them in, in a pretty quick, it can kind of go as quickly or slowly as you and us need it to go. We've had people who are like, I'm interviewing now, but I won't be able to come for 3 months, or I'm waiting for my license, or I'm relocating in 3 months, or, so we've hired people who don't start for 4 to 6 months. We've also hired people who start in 2 weeks. So.
We've also
about relocation. So where are you guys exactly? Like what cities? Where are all of the practices at?
We are currently only in the Chicagoland area. We have 18 clinics total, 10 in the city, 8 in the suburbs. We are definitely planning to keep growing both in the Chicagoland area and eventually out of state, but we don't have any concrete timeline or plan of where, when, how. So as of now, for today, we are just here in the Chicago area, but I will say for acupuncture and even for massage, we have had people relocate here for the position. And we've done that a lot actually on especially on acupuncture. We've also recently, I'm excited to say, we went through an immigration visa process with a student that graduated and was a Canadian citizen, and we went through the whole process with them, and they're now an H-1B visa holder. We did that whole process for them, and now they can stay with us for 3+ years. So
I would say one thing to add with the interview process, it is relatively quick, but it's kind of like dating, right? Like we want to get to know you, but we really want you to get a good sense of what we're doing as well. So one other thing we add for the Acu piece is after the practical, where you kind of go through from beginning to end. We have a new patient come in, they filled out paperwork, and I just observe. So as somebody who's still a student, it's pretty easy, right? It's pretty much what you do in clinic, except I'm the supervisor standing in the room the whole time. But for folks who've been out of practice, it's kind of weird to have somebody watching you, but it tends to be pretty chill. But after that, we'll have you spend some time, usually an hour and a half, 2 hours, shadowing one of our practitioners. So you actually get to see what it's like. What does this actually look like in practice? This is all us telling you what we do. We want you to spend time with a practitioner who's living this every day, who's made the choice to make this their career. And then like Joy said, we've certainly recruited. We have a handful of folks from Southern California, up from Seattle. Do we have anybody from New York? I don't think so. But folks from Boston, folks from the South, and then of course local folks as well. So yeah, I think that what we offer is really unique, and if you figure out after this dating process that it's for you, we'll find a way to make it work. And that visa one is a really, I'm like so excited about it. I can't even tell you. It's like such a big deal. And we put in a lot of our own money and a lot of our effort to make it happen, because it's ridiculous that folks who aren't born as a citizen can't work and do something that they're amazingly skilled at doing. So super jazzed that we did that, and I'm excited for the potential for that.
Before I ask another question, any students with any questions? Any other questions before? Don't be shy. Now's your chance.
Let's type it in the chat box too. I know some students, as a faculty member, not everybody wants to speak, and maybe it's been a long day. You've been speaking all day, like I have. So
I'll ask another question while we're waiting for people to put questions in the chat box. Can you talk a little bit about what questions do you think our graduating students should be asking when they're trying to decide where they want to work as a massage therapist or an acupuncturist? What questions should they be asking in order to find out whether someplace is the right fit for them?
I feel this is one I've got asked quite a bit recently, and I find it's more relevant, and as I practice longer, it 100% is. We all practice differently, and we all have different stamina and different patient volume we can handle in a day. So as a massage therapist, I think it's very important that you know your limits for hands-on time and what you can do comfortably, to not take away from patient care, because the last thing we want is for you to be overworked or hurt, and at the end of the day you're so fatigued out that you're not giving your patient everything you have. So to know what your limits are and to ask how they work. So for example, my limits are 5 to 6 hours. When I was doing, before I came to Align, I would do 5 to 6, either 60 or 90-minute deep tissues back to back, sometimes with very little or no breaks. Here, we do not do that. You work 2.5 hours and then you have a built-in 30-minute break. Regardless, you never work more than 2.5 hours straight without a 30-minute paid break, actually. Those 2.5 hours are 30-minute or 60-minute increments, made up, different ones. But to know your limits, and ask what the patient volume is, ask what a typical day in clinic is, and what a schedule is. For a massage therapist, I think that's important, because the last thing I want is someone to come on and not be able to physically or mentally take in that many emotions and, you know, the different types of transference and different personalities you take on.
And
So
that
we
brings
love
up,
that.
yeah, Brittany, that brings up another point, and I think for acupuncture as well, not only to ask about how many clients or patients you're going to be expected to see in an hour or in a day, but also I know we have some acupuncture grads who might not yet be comfortable seeing 2 or 3 patients in an hour, but they would be willing to learn. And so to also maybe ask about whether there's any training or sort of apprenticeship shadowing that can help them learn how to see more clients if that's something the company wants them to do.
Yeah, so I think that's a great point, Cynthia. Realistically, you know, asking the question of just in general, what are your expectations of your clinicians, I think is so valuable, because some people do think, oh, okay, well, so I get a salary, but if I don't have a patient until 2, then I'll just come in right before 2. Like, that's not the expectation. You're part of the team, right? If you're not a starter on your, I play basketball, so we'll go with the basketball team here. If you're not a starter on your basketball team, that you don't just get to show up when it's like, oh, maybe halftime and maybe they'll need my help second half, right? You got to be there. You have to be part of the team. And we have huddles at the beginning of the day. It's such an important piece of the puzzle. So I'm always shocked when people ask or have the expectation of, you know, just kind of showing up when they want to. I'm like, yeah, you can totally do that in your own practice. And you're not going to get paid for the time that you're not working. You know, here you get paid whether or not you see patients. And that's really important to us. I think that, so, you know, figuring out kind of what's important to you as well, right? You know, we offer full-time positions. If that's what you need in order to get things like benefits and paid time off and stuff like that, asking that. If you want to do something part-time and do something else elsewhere, you know, asking about that is important too. One thing that we haven't mentioned yet, but for those who are, you know, trained in herbal medicine and have taken the national board or passed it, we do practice herbal medicine in our clinics. Other scope of practice questions I think are always great. You know, like we do moxa in every single one of our clinics. If it isn't outfitted with the correct ventilation, we put it in when we're building out the clinics because it's such an important part of our medicine, you know. And so, you know, asking kind of what the scope is from that perspective. We certainly have people who come from other states and they're like, oh, I did lasers. I'm like, well, cool. That's not in our scope of practice here, or else I'm in, like, I want to learn more about lasers too. So, you know, asking that kind of stuff I think is valuable. And then, you know, what we see as like what metrics we look at to get a sense of if you're being successful or not, I think is another great question to ask, so that they have clear expectations of what we're asking of them. As far as, you know, to your question about, you know, if they're not used to seeing 2 patients an hour, which most people don't walk out of school seeing 2 patients an hour, right? You know, you've been in clinic, you have 1 room and 1 patient an hour. So we absolutely work with you to get you excited about seeing more and give you tips and tools and you not only obviously observation, that's a big part of our training, but also just the experience of, you know, tricks and tactics and stuff like that. So you can become better at that. Most of our clinics, with the exception of 2, have access to 3 rooms. So we can absolutely run 3 rooms. I have zero expectation of anybody coming in running 3 rooms unless they're comfortable doing it. And if they are, I'm still going to evaluate that because patient care is number 1, right? So if you're doing that and you're giving really cursory representation of our medicine, that's not how we roll here. So, you know, I absolutely, you can still see 1 patient hour for the majority of your week and get to the goals that we're looking for. So.
I do have a related question, but it looks like Mitzi has a question in the chat.
Oh yeah. First term DAC program, do you accept students to potentially shadow practitioners? Yeah, it's a great question. So congratulations, first of all. The beginning of a not super long journey, but it's going to feel long, and you'll be a different person at the end. So super exciting. Yeah, so we actually have an externship program with Pacific in Chicago currently, where once you become an intern, you can shadow. Like every semester you can shadow up to 4 shifts. So you can get, essentially you can get clinic credit for 4 shifts per semester. And we've absolutely done that before. It's sort of like a pre-dating, right? You're like doing some reconnaissance, but if nothing else, even if you don't want to come work for us, it's a really cool opportunity to get to see what truly integrative work looks like, right? Truly pluralistic, really, work looks like. And actually, Cynthia was really helpful in getting this started for me. So thank you, Cynthia, for kind of just being my my sounding board with that and helping me direct that. But it's been really great. Almost everybody that has gone through that has come and decided to join the company. And the folks who didn't, are so excited about what they learned and were able to take it to their own practices. And that's what we're looking for. I teach because I want to continue to inspire people that this medicine is amazing. I think you guys already know that, or y'all already know that, but that it's possible to practice it in a meaningful way that is authentic to the medicine, and you can be successful without diluting it, without having to see 10 patients an hour, 5 patients an hour. Some of the things I hear in interviews stress me out. You don't have to do that, and you can connect with your patients and yeah. So love people having the ability to do that for sure. So once you're an intern, so just a few years in, but yeah, definitely let us know, and we have a pretty simple application process.
Yeah, the related question I had, Lamia, to what you were talking about was when people want to ask about pay. So a lot of graduating students have a lot of questions about pay, which you brought up in terms of are there benefits and things like that, but also in terms of, you talked about, for instance, being paid when you don't have a patient, whether they're being paid by the hour or by the patient, depending upon what's legal in that state and what the employer chooses. And also, can you talk a little about, do you guys have any kind of non-compete agreements or how any of that works?
Yeah. So certainly I can speak for the acupuncture piece. So that's something that Joy covers in her first conversation, because hopefully they ask, and if they don't, she talks about it anyway, right? We're not trying to, hide what we do. I think our wages are very competitive, and there's kind of 2 pieces to it in general. So Joy, please stop me if I'm missing anything here, or please add if I'm missing anything. So she generally tells us the median, or the mean, really the average, not the median, the average salary, what people average make, and then a little bit about the range. And then also about sort of what the different components of the package are, right? So there's sort of the super tangibles, which is, this is your base salary. And then there's other things that will become more tangible, but things like benefits and paid time off and free CEUs and all of those things. And then coaching and all of that stuff. Dental, all of those things that kind of make a full career, right? So there's the base salary piece, and then there's a piece that's associated with how busy your practice is, and that's really, the base salary is to ensure that you can pay your bills and you're not worried about that, right? Which a lot of people walk out of school and it takes them about 1.5 years before they can comfortably pay their bills, right? And so we want to make sure that that's not a concern. We want your focus. We don't want you to look at patients and see dollar signs. We want you to look at patients and see, what's their pattern? How can I support them? Who else do I need to bring into the equation in order to get them better? And then the revenue share piece is really where you can start to make your dream kind of money, from my perspective. And then as far as what I've seen throughout at least Illinois is kind of our data point currently, but we're definitely competitive, and I think from what I've seen, the best package that exists. And then as far as non-competes, same thing. I've seen people with 10-mile non-competes and crazy things like that. That's just ridiculous. So, very reasonable non-competes that are at much lower than what other folks have. And it just depends if you're a city or if you're a suburb. But one question I frequently get is a non-compete. And a lot of people think that the non-compete distance is relative to all of our clinics. That's not the case, right? If you didn't work at that clinic, you're not going to have a non-compete in that area, or else essentially would be Xing you out of anywhere where you actually want to be in Illinois, right? Because you can work in Southern Illinois. No offense to Southern Illinois people, but so yeah, I would say that it's just based on the clinic that you are seeing patients at, and the non-compete is from there. Because yeah, we're not trying to X people out from being successful. If it's not a good fit here, I want people to be great clinicians. We need great clinicians everywhere, whether or not they work for us.
Yes, I think you covered that very well. So thank you.
I'm trying to save your voice here, Joy.
I appreciate that. Brittany, do you want to talk about massage?
Sure, absolutely. So for massage therapists, we do not have a non-compete currently. We do part-time and full-time positions. We offer the full-time positions for, similar to what Lamia said, people who want the career, they want a full patient base in one place with the benefits and the CEUs and kind of the whole package. And as a massage therapist who's worked in Chicago and other places, I can wholeheartedly say our benefits package is, no one compares. I feel like our benefits are exceptional for a massage therapist. And then our part-time people, they have a flat kind of, we call it an admin rate that they get for any time they're in the clinic, not seeing a patient, including your breaks. And then they get another rate for every hands-on hour they are with patients. Our full-time salary, they have a very competitive, livable base salary. And then they also get, we call it a bonus, for lack of a better way to say it, based on how many hands-on hours are worked within that month. And it does go up $1 an hour for every 5 hours you work. So it's pretty competitive. I will say no non-competes. We also do a lot of people who start out with us will sometimes start out part-time because they want to date us, which is, I think, my new favorite way to explain it, and just see if we're a good fit. So they might split their time between us and somewhere else, whether they're massaging somewhere else or doing something in a different field completely. I will say the majority of my massage therapists who have started full-time or part-time have decided they loved us and we dated successfully, and they decided to hop on full-time because we're pretty great. But that's it. We have a lot of different options and a lot of different flexibility within our department.
One important difference I want to point out is that on massage, as Brittany said, we do have full-time and part-time positions, but on acupuncture, it is mainly full-time. And we do, if you are practicing acupuncture here, you cannot also practice at another clinic or in your own private practice. So that's one difference.
Yeah, I think it's important, you know, when I mentioned that I used to run career services in Chicago. And one thing that I saw consistently is when I would be interviewing graduates is that oftentimes they would have their practice, which is great. But in order to really survive, they had to work somewhere else. They had to do something maybe outside of the field. And I remember when I graduated from my master's program, I told myself I would never do anything that wasn't associated with acupuncture. And so I kind of kept that ethos and with our practice. And when we started, it was part-time, but quickly we moved to full-time because I wanted us to offer something that wasn't as easy to find. You know, I wanted people to not have to dissipate their chi by running their own practice and running a practice here with us. I recall distinctly on my honeymoon answering a phone call from a patient because my business phone is associated with my cell phone, and I picked it up and I regretted picking it up. And I was like, you know, I'm on my honeymoon. Actually, I'd love to talk to you. I'll be back in like a week. Can we chat then? And she proceeded to speak to me for 15 minutes. And I thought to myself, I never want anyone to have to do this again. So that's a really big thing. So we don't have folks work, you know, elsewhere because really we want you to focus your chi with us, and you know, the potential to grow here is just so enormous. And then also when you're on vacation, we have people cover for you who are on your team. So your patients are still going to be in great care. We have, my wife works with us. She just came back from maternity leave with our second child. And while she was gone, we had an acupuncturist managing our practice, and she came back in and just jumped right back in, and our patients were great, and were well taken care of. So that's really important. You know, there's that continuity of care, where I hear this horror story of people going on maternity leave, coming back because they had a friend cover their shift, and then suddenly half of those patients are gone. That's just not how things work with us.
I know that we do have a few minutes left, so I did want to ask one final question on our side.
Karina, we're having trouble hearing you again.
Oh, can you hear me now? Sorry.
Yep.
Okay. So I was saying, I know we do have a few minutes left, but I did want to ask one more question from our side if the students didn't have a question. But My question is for all of you guys is, what do you think the best thing from your perspective is about working for Align Modern Health?
For me, I feel like one of the things that Align does best is treat their massage therapists as actual equal providers, and they value what we bring and what massage brings to the table. And not a lot of places are able to recognize massage and healthcare as that.
Are you asking Joy too?
Everybody.
Okay, I'll let you go first, Joy.
I think for me, it's just the team spirit and collaborative nature of who we are and what we do, and that everyone just works together really well and supports each other. And it's not a place of that's not my job, I'm not going to do that, but like we're all here, we're all working towards the same mission, and we want to help our patients, and we want to help the company continue to grow and be successful. So everyone just comes together and we all roll up our sleeves and do what needs to be done. And I think that's a really unique environment.
Yeah, I agree with both of those. I want to be last so I can see if there's anything else I want to add on top of it. I think one thing that's really big for our acupuncturists in general is that when we go into private practice, again, like I said, we do feel like an island. And sometimes that means if we have clinical questions, we may not have people to refer to or communicate with. Or, even if we're talking to our friends, they may or may not want to spend their time, answering our clinical questions. Whereas on our team, we have a group of folks who are all, what unites us is our passion for this medicine. But we all have different skill sets. We all have different interests. And so when we have questions, we're talking about them constantly. If we have difficult cases, we are chatting with each other very frequently. I mean, all day, every day, really, we're talking about different cases and sharing those experiences. And that helps us learn in an environment of non-judgment, right? No one's gonna be like, what do you mean you don't know this? That's not how this works. It's like, oh yeah, I treat that all the time. This is how I like to approach it. And that just helps us, feel confident in not knowing. And that helps, I think, with patient care as well. But it also helps us just, know who to refer to if maybe it's a little bit more, specialized than I'm comfortable with, that kind of thing, and know that people will be referring to us as well. So being able to co-treat within our teams, but also external to the teams, and knowing patients aren't going to just disappear. I think that's a really cool thing.
I agree with that. I love as well. We communicate with other massage therapists throughout the day, and it's nice because we're just a bunch of nerds who get to geek out if there's something we're passionate about, and you have people who are just excited about it. And like, hey, I did this today, or hey, this case came in, or I have no clue what to do. Has anybody ever seen this? And we can just problem solve and work together. And it's nice to be able to, I always say, geek out with people who are passionate about what we're passionate about.
Totally.
Well, thank you for that. It is 5:30, so we'll go ahead and close. I want to thank you guys for coming, and definitely thank you for answering all of our questions. I hope that some of the students were able to get some of their questions answered and get to know your company more, and are eager to graduate so they can come work with you guys. And I'm hoping that this recording will also help future students who are about to graduate. So if you get a lot of students that heard about it from here, let me know. I want to know how well this worked out, okay?
And let's keep doing it. Let's keep doing these. I think it's a great way to just start getting in front of each other and spreading the good word. And, some of you are earlier in your program, some are later. And, it's never too early to start thinking about what you might want to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it. And good luck to y'all.
Yeah.
Excited to call you colleagues soon.